Mr. Maple Show.
Hey y'all, I'm Tim and that's Kate, and we're MrMaple.com, that family mail order business. We ship directly to your door, and we list 10 new trees every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's actually another 10 if you check out your weekly email.
Yeah, so here starting off we have this amber ghost. You know, typically you wouldn't want to invite a ghost onto your property, but with amber ghost it's definitely worth it. It's named for its beautiful summer color. It has a really deep, rich amber, but then some really cool green reticulation. Typically you name a maple for its spring or its fall color, but it's so outstanding in the summer that that's what it's named for. But it also has a beautiful coral color in the early spring, so it's really an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, those colors in the spring and the summer are some of the best of any of the Ghost series. It actually makes, because of that, it's often people's favorite of the Ghost series, and has been one of the many selections that Talon Buchholz has said is one of his favorite members of the Ghost series. Amber Ghost is distinctly different from many of the other Ghost series. It has this very strong upright habit, where some of the other Ghost series can have more of that semi-pendulous shape. This one's a little more strong, upright, and vigorous, and that makes a good tree out there in the landscape with that brilliant color. And Kate talked about that spring and the summer color, but that fall color of bright oranges to reds in the fall too. It's one of the best fall color Japanese maples. If you're looking for an upright tree in the garden, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you know, something else I love about it is the way that its leaves form. On the top they're often a lot more of the typical palmatum shape, but on the bottom where they're a little bit more mature, they'll have a more serrated quality to them, and so it's just fun to see them kind of grow and mature, and there's a little bit of texture there that not all trees have. I
mean, Amber Ghost has that ever-changing beauty, and that's one of the reasons why this was an introduction by Buchholz Nursery. It's such a beautiful plant. It pairs so well with so many other plants. You know, I could pair this with a summer gold. Kate, what would you pair this with?
Oh, well, I mean, I know that a lot of times around here we have hostas in a garden, so I think it'd be a beautiful addition just to a typical southern garden. It has that variegation to the hosta, and I could see it just pairing really well with the reticulation. It kind of plays off one another. Yeah,
being this thing has such a strong upright habit, some small low-growing plants work phenomenally with it. You know me, if you ask me what to pair a Japanese maple with, I always say another Japanese maple. So call me guilty. I'm a sucker for the Japanese maples. But Amber Ghost, amazing tree. Check it out. Guys, listen today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, next up, we've got Acer japonicum Yamakagi.
Yeah, so you won't really want to be saving the Yama for your mama, because this is a beautiful maple. Its name in Japanese means mountain shadow, and it has a really broad, beautiful canopy, so the name makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and this is a selection by Don Schmidt Nursery, and the owner of Don Schmidt Nursery actually lived in Mountain Shadow subdivision. This was found as a chance seedling actually at his neighbor's house.
Oh, that's really cool. I had no idea about that.
But I love the big japonicum leaves. They just add this tropical feel out there in the garden.
I especially love that too, especially, you know, we have so many deciduous leaves that have like a more ovate shape, but this has such a nice serrated kind of weepy quality to it that's really difficult to find in most native plants. But it also, I love the fall color that it gets. It's each leaf, it's so broad that you can really see the different splatters of red, orange, yellow, the green. Each one is like a little masterpiece, and it's a really beautiful plant to watch for the fall.
I know a lot of our employees love this tree. We planted a large one right as you walk into the office at Mr. Maple. For me, this is a beautiful tree with really large leaves that can get dinner plate size, and that fall color is exceptional. I mean, if you love japonicums, get a Yamakagi. Those big leaves are going to be dynamic and make a big statement.
I agree. Yeah, so up next we have a dark ghost. This is one of the newer additions to the ghost series, but last is not least in this case, it's one of the darkest of the ghosts. It has a really nice deep saturated color, so it's really not one to be overlooked.
Yeah, and this has a strong upright habit like Amber Ghost, like we were talking about before, so a really good tree structure out there. And being that dark color, it just gives you that dark presence out there in the landscape. Everyone's looking for that burgundy color, but this gives you that burgundy color with that reticulation. That reticulation, you can see some lime green veins in this in the early spring. You can actually see some of them right now. For me, this is one of the coolest trees because it is one of the darkest of that ghost series.
Yeah, and it may have, a dark soul, but it does best in the sun. So it's really best to make sure that it has a little bit of that light to help the reds come out, but then it's also just a beautiful specimen. It's really difficult to get such a strong hue in nature, so it's really something spectacular.
And on top of that, whenever you're planting these out in the garden, think about this. If you have a dark colored tree like this, plant something light near it, like a Golden Falls or Summer Gold, to provide dynamic contrast. If you put this tree alone in a shadier spot, it may get lost. If you put it in a spot where you've got a light background, or you can plant this out in the sunlight, you're going to really be able to appreciate the dark color on Dark Ghost. Y'all, one of the rarest members of the Ghost series right now, because it's not out there that frequently. Take advantage of getting these today. Next up, we've got Acer palmatum rayusin, a heavily cascading green Japanese maple with that palmate leaf.
Yeah, and it's so cool because they're such a malleable tree because of the amount of pendulous quality that it has. And they do so well in containers. I think that'd be great if you maybe wanted more of a low graft. You can start off in a hanging container, have that beautiful foliage sweep over, but then you can also move it up to a larger pot as it gets older. So, it just has so many different things that you can play around with it.
I like to take this tree, stake it up to about 6 foot, then let it cascade down, have that fountain-like effect. That is such a beautiful way to do it. One like this, if you just let it grow out and become a ground cover across the ground, I've seen that done as well. It's such a fun tree to have out there in the garden, but this thing's not just fun, it's durable. It's heat tolerant, it's vigorous, it's easy to grow. Me and Sean recently shot a podcast on Japanese maples for beginners. In there we talk about plants for their durability, their uses. You have to check and see where rayusin falls, but I'm telling you, it's pretty high.
Yeah, it also has beautiful fall color, that bright red, bright orange. It's really stunning. So not only is it a more convenient plant to grow, but it's also just beautiful. So you're really not missing out on anything.
Yeah, this was a selection by Kobayashi Momiji in Japan. They're the same people who introduced Tomukiyama over 200 years ago. And this is one of their newer introductions. It gives you some really nice oranges to reds in the fall. For me, it's hard to beat rayusin because it's easy to grow. It gives this soft, elegant feel that you don't get out of many weepers, because instead of having those lace leaves, it has this more palmate leaves, which gives a very full effect. Y'all, get one of these today if you don't have it. It's an easy tree to grow, it's beautiful, and it's going to make a gorgeous specimen in your garden.
Yeah, low maintenance and stunning.
Now, we've been having people ask about this tree. When is it coming back? It's coming back today on the 10 at 10. We're talking about Acer palmatum Noel. It'll sell out quick, so check out quickly today, because our website doesn't hold it for you until you complete that checkout process.
Yeah, and I can see why so many people love it with that beautiful red that it gets in the early fall, but then the cream and the pink start coming out. It's just amazing to watch throughout the year. And it has such a nice open canopy to it. It's a beautiful tree. It's stunning with really whatever you have in your landscape because there's so many contrasts to it.
Yeah, and so this was actually a tree that was found by one of our good friends up in Connecticut and named after his dog, Noel. It is gorgeous. It's amazing. I saw the original one there in the springtime. It's just this bright pink red with pink variegation across it. And as that summer progresses, as you start to see more of that green in there, you really see that variegation, and then you get that pink red new growth again. The colors are outrageous on this tree, and I think that's one of the reasons people love it. But the name like Noel, I mean, it's so fitting. I mean, you've got all the colors of Christmas right there. Even though it's named after someone's dog, you've got all the colors of Christmas on Acer palmatum Noel.
Yeah, beautifully festive in that case. And then also, I just love how it has a more mature height to it. It gets to be about 12 feet. So it's a nice presence in your garden, regardless of the size with the color, but then also with the maturity.
And these spring interest trees can really just be outrageous in the garden. The unique thing about this one, though, is that midsummer, you really get a show with that variegation as well. So it's not just green during the summer. You get that variegation show, and then you get the return of all this color. It's the changes of the seasons that people love about Japanese maples, and Noel really brings it.
Yeah, so next we have a beautiful hydrangea, Kuga variegated. What's really amazing about it is it's a climbing hydrangea. If you stick it on a piece of wood, it can, grow to massive heights, but then it's also variegated. It has beautiful white blooms, so you really don't have to have a lot of space in your landscape to get something spectacular.
And we offered these probably a month or two ago, and they sold out really quickly, so we got some more brought in, y'all. And to me, this is one of the most spectacular of those climate hydrangeas. The hydrangea Anamala pedicularis is just amazing all by itself. Just being a climbing hydrangea you can put somewhere and enjoy blooms on a tree, a fence, a trellis. There's so many ways you can grow climbing hydrangea. But then when you add this unique variegation, you just get something extra out there in the garden that even when it's not blooming, it gives you something beautiful that you can really enjoy.
Yeah, and I'm actually really glad to see this on the 10 and 10 again because my mom wanted to buy one, but then they sold out. So Jenna We have it again.
Y'all take advantage of these today. Again, they could sell out really quickly. And we've got some killer sizes on these 1 gallons. Take these out, take some fishing line, go ahead, put it next to and sort of give a light tie around it so that it can actually start on whatever you're going to put it on. And then this thing takes off. It will make a beautiful specimen.
I agree.
From one variegated plant to another, we've got Clethra barbonervis Takeda Nishiki.
Yeah, they're so beautiful with, originally they have that pink variegation with the green, but then in the late summer they switch onto a cream. So they have so much seasonal interest with the pink bark that, in the winter there's so many different colors that come out, the red, the cream, the brown, so many different interests to look at.
Yeah, Japanese Clethra are some extraordinary plants. They're often used in landscaping because they get amazing bark that almost looks like a crepe myrtle as it ages. You get some really phenomenal like spike-like blooms on this too that are white. But this one was found in the wild by Takeda-san as this variegation all across a Japanese Clethra. And if you're not a fan of variegation, I mean, come on, you got to enjoy this plant. When I was at World Maple Park, Masayoshi Yano had a Takeda Nishiki in his back greenhouse, his Area 51 essentially, where he was like, check all this cool stuff out. He had one of these in a container. So it is an amazing plant you should try out in your garden, and it puts on such amazing variegation. Rockstar.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we think of something more of a shrub, because when it matures, that's kind of the size that it gets. It's more of a filler. It's not something that interesting, but that's kind of where you get a MrMaple advantage in that this is spectacular. There's really no room for fillers if you don't want there to be.
Yeah, and this is one of those amazing plants in our rare plant section on MrMaple. If you've never checked that out, you should go to MrMaple.com, check out the rare plants, because we offer amazing rare conifers under the conifers section, amazing maples, what we're known for, but our rare plant section is probably one of the best of any mail order nursery. Check that out. So next up, guys, we've got Pinus thunbergii, Nana Koyosho.
Yeah, and what I really love about this plant is it has these nice large needles to them, so it has a really interesting and kind of world effect with how the needles splay out from the central cones, and then it also has such a nice angular structure to it, but it only gets to be about 3 to 4 feet, so it's really great for a miniature garden. Yeah,
Pinus thunbergii are some of my favorite of the conifers. They're shade tolerant. I can actually grow them in a condition with my Japanese maples, and they grow. They're not just surviving, they grow there. It can also be extremely heat tolerant. It can handle the sands and live on the coast. It's salt tolerant. It's heat tolerant. It's an easy tree for many people to grow. And with Nana Koyosho, you get a dwarf compact form of that. So y'all, if you're into bonsai, awesome plant to start with. If you're in just a beautiful tree that's going to be a small little conifer in your garden, an awesome tree to go with. And being an evergreen, this gives you one of those year-round interests that you don't find on many plants.
Yeah, and with the Koyosho, it's really amazing that it has so many tolerances because, typically when a plant is hardy like that, it's not as attractive, but it has a beautiful yellow variegation in the winter. It's very stunning, so you really make no sacrifices with this conifer.
Take advantage of these today.
Okay, up next we have this beautiful Seiho. This was actually my original top 5, so it's one of my particular favorite maples. It has a beautiful compact nature to it, just small delicate leaves, so it's just really stunning to look at.
And if you're a fan of the MrMaple Show, our very first video, almost 10 years ago, was about Acer palmatum Seiho, the ultimate bonsai. We were one of the first people really producing this tree. It is a small compact dwarf with extremely small leaves, meaning it is excellent for that bonsai culture, great for containers. You can mass plant these in the garden and really just have some small shrub-like Japanese maples where you get all the beauty of Japanese maple, but in this tight, dense, compact form.
And I really love in the spring the bright purple color that it gets with the red border, and it's just small leaves. It has such an intricate quality to it that really are specific to maples.
And not only is this a dwarf and compact, but it's a vigorous dwarf. That sounds like an oxymoron, and it kind of is, but what this thing does is it takes off and shoots out and then starts filling in and staying dense and compact. So it makes a statement quickly, and it continues to get more and more beautiful with age.
Yeah, so dynamite, small package.
Acer palmatum Seiho, grab one today. So guys, lastly but not least on the 10 at 10 video today, we've got Acer palmatum Makawas on 20-inch lollipops in 2 gallons. So guys, we've got some massive, great size 2-gallon Macaulay Etzebusas. If you're looking for that lollipop look, where you get a little bit of straight up and then that structure happening, we've got some killer size Macaulay Etzebusas.
I always love a lollipop because it reminds me of the Dr. Seuss trees. But then, you know, Macaulay are just always so stunning. They are, you know, famous in the maple world for a reason. But it's great to have it in a 2-gallon size too, because it's already some maturity. So if you wanted to just put it straight in a pot, have it on your patio ready for fall, it has beautiful fall colors. So it's a great purchase.
I love what these trees can do. They're just this tightly layering shingling habit. These arms stretched out. They look like little creatures here. These already do. So they've got these antennas just popping out. You're going to enjoy these plants. Your kids are going to love these plants too. Easy way to get kids into gardening is when you have a tree that looks like a creature out there in the garden. Y'all, Macaulay Etzebusa, the very first maple of the year with the North American Maple Society. Easy to grow, great green color. It's just durable. And you've got bright orange fall color on Macaulay Etzebusa. All the way around, this is a killer tree.
Yeah, you know, and I can't agree more that this is a great way to introduce your kids into maples, because this was the first maple I fell in love with, so it's really just a great tree all around.
So y'all get excited. We've got our open house coming up September 2nd from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. Y'all are going to want to be here. We got a lot of cool plants. It's always a fun time with all the people. We're even going to have a live podcast going that you might be able to jump in with.
Yeah, and with Labor Day, we always have a huge crowd, so I'm looking forward to seeing some of our regulars. So, you know, we'll be looking forward to having you.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.